Chapter 61 The Third Stone Box. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If he met a first-level divine warrior now, he would be able to crush him to death with one hand without any need for a fierce battle. It would be as easy and effortless as squeezing an ant to death. Ye Feng withdrew his silver battle body. At this moment, his eyes were full of expectation. When the physique enters the second level of the heavenly silver combat body of the god of creation, his second accompanying talent will be awakened subsequently. Buzz. Suddenly, Ye Feng noticed something strange. He felt that his back suddenly became heavier and heavier. Along with this increasingly heavy feeling, a huge halo of hazy divine light suddenly appeared behind Ye Feng and above his head. This huge halo of divine light exudes bright divine light, like a silver-white hollow moon, hanging and floating in the void behind Ye Feng. Under the light of this round of divine light, Ye Feng found that his perception of the environment had become stronger, his strength had grown, his true energy had become more powerful, and even the thoughts in his brain were running. It all becomes extremely fast. Before Ye Feng's eyes showed surprise, a mysterious message emerged in his mind. My second accompanying talent is actually the legendary ancient divine ring contaminated with the energy of the gods from the ancient times. As long as I continue to burn the energy and blood in my body, I can manifest the ancient divine ring, rise and fall all over my body. The divine light on the divine ring has the aura of the ancient gods, which can give me a bonus to all-round strength and increase my combat power crazily. Even when I have enough energy and blood, increase the burning energy and blood, and the number of divine rings manifested reaches a certain level, I can reflect and manifest the will of a god from the ancient era, just like the resurrection of a myth. At this moment, accepting the information emerging from his mind, it was the secret hidden in the divine secret of creation. At this time, as Ye Feng's cultivation level increased, it continued to surface. What an amazing ancient divine ring, its power is so terrifying. It is much more powerful than my father's second companion talent back then. I remember that my father's second companion talent back then seemed to be a plant growing in chaos. Eternal green lotus. I don't know what the eternal green lotus is used for, but it doesn't feel very powerful. Ye Feng's eyes were bright, but then he whispered, it's just that if you want to manifest the ancient divine ring, you need to consume a huge amount of energy and blood. With my current energy and blood, even manifesting a round of the ancient divine ring is a bit difficult. At this time, Ye Feng's face turned slightly pale, and he temporarily dismissed the second accompanying talent behind him, the ancient divine ring. In just a few minutes of manifestation, Ye Feng felt a lack of energy and blood in his body. However, the ability of the ancient divine ring is obvious to all. Just now, when Ye Feng burned part of his energy and blood to manifest an ancient divine ring, he could clearly feel that his combat power, perception, judgment of the environment, thought, operation, etc., all of his overall abilities had been greatly improved. Bonuses and improvements. With this thought, Ye Feng became more and more confident about tomorrow's transaction with the City Lord's mansion. As long as there are no super masters at the titled martial realm level, even if he encounters a profound being in the divine martial realm, Ye Feng is confident that he can defeat the opponent directly. Next, I snatched the third stone box from the demonic blood sex treasure house. I wonder what's inside. A storage ring flashed in Ye Feng's hand, and a simple and pale stone box appeared in his hand. Ye Feng exerted slight force. Crack! The stone box in his hand was directly affected by his powerful finger force. It was crushed and the pieces fell down one after another. At this time, a map that seemed to be made of monster skin appeared in Ye Feng's field of vision. However, this animal skin map is a fragment, and it seems that there are other parts. Ye Feng could only see the 4 characters Heaven-Splitting Demon Saint written on the upper right corner of the animal skin map fragment. It may be related to a certain demonic power in the demonic path. Ye Feng felt that this map of animal skin fragments should not be simple. When he had time, he planned to secretly inquire about what kind of existence the Heaven-Splitting Demon Saint was. It should be a treasure map, and it is even very possible that it is the inheritance of the Sky-Splitting Demon Saint. Ye Feng secretly guessed in his heart. Then he took out a crystal stone that exuded bright spiritual light from the storage spirit ring. This is a spiritual crystal that surpasses the best spiritual stone. Although it is a low-grade spiritual crystal, it is also extremely valuable and contains very high-level spiritual energy. This rare spiritual crystal was given to Ye Feng by Tian Yangsheng, the commander of the Great Yan Dynasty's imperial army, as an apology gift. Ye Feng didn't talk nonsense and absorbed it directly. Half an hour later, the spiritual crystal turned into powder, and the high-level spiritual energy in the crystal was swallowed up. Boom! Ye Feng's cultivation also broke through the first level and entered the fourth level of Tianwu realm. In fact, just a small improvement in cultivation level did not have much impact on Ye Feng's combat power, so Ye Feng took out the 9,000 space spirit stones from the storage spirit ring at this time. Ye Feng collected these 9,000 space spirit stones after knocking on the portal in the demonic blood gate's treasure house for half an hour. He kept holding pieces of space spirit stones in his hands, absorbing the power of space attributes in them, and comprehending the mysteries of space. Time passes quietly through your fingers like quicksand. In a blink of an eye, it was already the morning of the next day. Squeak! Ye Feng opened the door and came to the courtyard outside. He made a stroke in the air at a few plants in the distance. Zila! 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 A total of 3 slender space cracks that chilled the soul suddenly appeared in the distance, cutting and shattering several thick trees in an instant. Releasing 3 space cracks at once was the result of Ye Feng's efforts throughout the night. At this time, Ye Feng has achieved the primary level of silver combat body, awakened the second accompanying talent, the ancient god rain, and can instantly release 3 space cracks at once. His strength has been greatly improved in just one night. Chu Tianlang, City Lord's mansion. No matter what kind of trap you will lay out to ambush me in this transaction, the result is destined to be only one, and that is a complete failure. Ye Feng's eyes were filled with extreme coldness. He put a rusty sword on his back, wore white clothes and walked towards the outside of the Yi clan. This time he went to the meeting alone, and among the family members, Yi Tianya was also making intensive arrangements and making rapid preparations to capture the city lord's palace. Aha! In a remote dense forest outside Nanyang County, a young figure in white flashed over and stood in the open space. At this time, Ye Feng was holding the half-dead young city lord Chu He like a chicken. He looked around the dense forest and suddenly said, "Chu Tianlang, you should have come out. I have brought your son. Just hand over the dragon blood pill." Chapter 62, Dead Bodies on the Spot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, very good. As expected, heroes come from young. Suddenly, Chu Tianlang's voice sounded. He was wearing a golden robe and walked out of the surrounding dense forest. Ye Feng saw that there were no people around Chu Tianlang, and he did not feel the master's ambush. This made Ye Feng a little confused. Could it be that Chu Tianlang, the majestic city lord of Nanyang County, really surrendered in front of him instead of taking the opportunity to kill him? But even though he thought so, Ye Feng remained vigilant until he got the dragon blood pill from Chu Tianlang's hand, and then kicked Chu He away. "Father, avenge me." Chu He said with difficulty, tugging on Chu Tianlang's clothes. Chu Tianlang carried Chu He on his back. A cruel smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth, and said in a low voice, "Here, don't worry, I have used the mysterious talisman passed down by your grandfather to contact the legendary Tian Pa sect master. This little beast Ye Feng will never return to Nanyang County alive." After Chu Tianlang finished speaking, he carried his son Chu He away. On his back, Chu He looked at Ye Feng who was standing behind him with evil eyes, and made a gesture of cutting his throat, which was obviously to show off. But at this time, Ye Feng suddenly smiled and said, "You too, there is no need to leave." "What?" Chu He's expression suddenly froze. Chu Tianlang turned around suddenly, and at the first glance he saw the terrifying murderous intent flashing in Ye Feng's eyes. "You don't keep your word," Chu Tianlang suddenly said coldly. "We have agreed that this time it is just a transaction, not a life and death battle." Ye Feng shook his head indifferently, sneered coldly, and said, "You think I don't know that you have ambushed a master in this dense forest and want to ambush me? If you are so insincere, I will naturally retaliate in kind." Chu Tianlang's eyes did not move and he just said, "Ambush master? I don't know what you are talking about." Ye Feng's eyes showed murderous intent and said, "My perception is naturally very powerful, especially hearing. Even though we were hundreds of meters apart just now, I still heard your whisper to your son." "What? You, Chu Tianlang's eyes were suddenly startled, and then he ran away crazily with Chu He on his back. He is only at the 9th level of the Lingwu realm, and is no match for Ye Feng in the Tianwu realm, but Chu Tianlang was confident that although he was no match for Ye Feng, he had been practicing the earth-level footwork and martial arts of Ghost Quick Step for decades, and even the powerful Tianwu realm could not catch up with him, but Chu Tianlang was too confident. Boom! A huge silver palm struck down in the air, like a silver mountain slamming down. The father and son were directly slapped into pieces, and they didn't even have time to scream. You actually killed them. How outrageous! Suddenly at this moment, a furious voice came from the dense forest, aha! Swish! A dozen figures wrapped in black clothes suddenly jumped out from the surrounding jungle. The dozen or so men in black, behind black masks, stared at the broken bodies of Chu Tianlang and Chu He on the ground, with extremely shocked and angry eyes. Boy, you are looking for death. The tall man in black at the head took a step forward. This man had a martial arts aura, and he was clearly a being in the divine martial realm. Chu Tianlang, his father, Chu He's grandfather, was kind to the man in black and gave him a bite to eat when he was at his lowest. As a result, the man in black ended up joining an extremely powerful sect, the Sky Poison sect. Although the Tiandu sect is not as good as the largest sword sect in the Great Yan Dynasty, it is still a vicious sect that makes people fearful. The sword sect and the royal family have always wanted to eradicate the vicious sect of Tiandu sect, but for thousands of years, they have never succeeded. From this, it can be seen that this Sky Poison sect has a very deep foundation, so at this moment, this tall man in black stared at Ye Feng, like a superior emperor looking at ants in a remote place. He said aloud, I once promised my old friend to take good care of his descendants. As long as the Jade Talisman sends a message, no matter how far away, I will come over. But I didn't expect that you, a little brat, would actually kill them in front of me. Ye Feng just smiled indifferently and said, yes, although I didn't realize that you were lurking in the jungle around here. I had already guessed that there would be an ambush by experts, but you seem to want to wait until Chu Tianlang left. Take action, but I am not as good as you want. I take action instantly and kill Chu Tianlang and Chu He. What can you do to me? Ye Feng's attack just now did not follow common sense, so Chu Tianlang and Chu He died without even letting out any screams. Even this group of Sky Poison sect masters, led by extremely powerful men at the divine martial realm level, did not react. By the time they came to their senses, the person they wanted to protect had already died in front of them. Young man, you are very courageous. In order to pay homage to the heirs of my old friend, I will execute you one by one at Ling Qi, making you endure endless pain and then die. Only in this way can I pay homage to their dead souls. The tall man in black spoke out, his tone filled with endless coldness and cruelty. He said to two of the dozen men in black behind him, go ahead and capture this kid. Yes, senior brother. These two men in black were at the peak of the 9th level of the Tianwu realm. In the eyes of the tall man in black, his two junior brothers were enough to make Ye Feng, a boy who was not above the 4th level of Tianwu realm, kneel down in front of him. Boy, it's your fault for provoking someone you shouldn't have offended. The two men in black sneered. They pulled out the long knives from their waists. Above the blades of the long knives was a dark patch of darkness, obviously filled with poison. This sect is indeed very vicious. Even the weapons are full of poison. As long as an ordinary person is cut a little bit, he will be poisoned and die instantly. This is why the Tiandu sect is so notorious in the entire Great Yan Dynasty sect circle. Pft. Pft. But the next moment, there were two sounds like watermelons breaking. Ye Feng slapped them twice, and the heads of the two men in black were smashed to pieces. Bang! Bang! The two men in black, like Chu He and his son, were killed directly without even having time to let out a miserable cry. Their bodies were lying on the spot, and they met a miserable end. What? These two slaps completely shocked everyone on the field. Even the tall man in black at the head suddenly shrank his pupils. At that moment, even he couldn't see clearly how Ye Feng took action. Chapter 63 Epilogue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Run! At this moment, the tall man in black suddenly fled into the distance. Senior brother ran away. The remaining dozen men in black on the field looked at me and I looked at you, and they were all stunned. Run! Then everyone screamed in fear and fled in all directions. You are so weak that I don't even have the slightest desire to fight. It really disappoints me. Ye Feng suddenly spoke up. What he said was actually the truth. This time, he originally thought that Chu Tianlang would invite a very terrifying master to deal with him, and I can just take advantage of this opportunity to test how powerful I am now, but Ye Feng didn't even have time to test the power of his newly awakened second companion talent, the ancient god ring, before all the opponents ran away. However, this group of men in black are all high-ranking disciples from the Qiandu sect. Although each of them poses no threat to Ye Feng, they are a disaster to Nanyang County. Therefore, Ye Feng's heart was boiling with murderous intent, and he could not let anyone go. All the disciples of the Sky Poison sect must be buried in this unknown forest. Boom! Behind Ye Feng, a pair of huge purple wings suddenly spread out. It is a very rare flying martial art, Xian Wing. The wings formed by the huge infuriating energy gave Ye Feng extreme speed at this moment. At the very least, among the 4 basic martial arts realms, Ye Feng's speed is definitely one of the best. Puff! Ye Feng punched through the chest of a disciple of the Sky Poison sect, and then absorbed all of his energy, blood, and skill. Ye Feng's true energy suddenly became a little stronger. This group of Sky Poison sect disciples, except for the tall man in black at the head, are generally masters of the 8th or 9th level of the Tianwu realm, but now, being chased by Ye Feng, a warrior at the 4th level of the Tianwu realm, they all fled, and then were killed one by one and absorbed their skills. Qianquan Liang sword. But when the last man in black, the leading man in black, was caught up by Ye Feng made a move with his sword, and the blazing sword light was like a long golden river, tearing apart 100 meters of land at once, directly tearing apart the powerful man in the 1st level of the divine martial realm. In the blink of an eye, a group of menacing Sky Poison sect masters were completely wiped out, and Ye Feng killed them to pieces. In this battle, Ye Feng did not feel the slightest sense of accomplishment, but felt very bored. However, the harvest still made Ye Feng happy. The storage rings of this group of Sky Poison sect disciples stored a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, as well as top-grade spiritual stones, and even several low-grade spiritual crystals. As expected, the disciples of the major sects are all extremely rich. Ye Feng thought in his heart, and he couldn't wait to go to Jianzhong even more. When Ye Feng returned to Nanyang County, he returned to the Yi clan. Everyone looked overjoyed, and Ye Feng was not injured at all, so it must have been a success. Yi Tianya's eyes showed faint excitement and asked Ye Feng, "How is it?" Ye Feng smiled slightly and said, "Everything has been solved." Good. Yi Tianya slammed the table of the main hall and said to the senior leaders of the Yi clan, "Let's go and attack the city lord's palace. We will be the number 1 in Nanyang County. It has become a powerful force. From now on, my Yi clan will be able to dominate everything in the entire Nanyang County." Ye Feng also went to the city lord's mansion with everyone in the Yi clan. However, he has been worried about one thing, and that is that the city lord's palace may have an inspector from the central imperial city of the Great Yan dynasty. Each of these patrol envoys are very powerful and usually stay in the palaces of major city lords to prevent anything uncontrollable from happening. This time Ye Feng killed Chu Tianlang and his gang in the wild just to cut through the mess quickly, but what surprised Ye Feng was that after the city lord's palace in Nanyang County was breached, no strong man appeared. The inspector did not appear, which made Ye Feng a little confused. At this time, the inspector had been summoned by a distinguished figure with a mysterious identity. On the 9th floor of a wealthy pavilion in Nanyang County, on the Vermilion Pavilion platform, at this time, the inspector of Nanyang County was kneeling on the ground with a look of awe. He faced a girl in white not far away who had her back turned to him, clasped her fists and said respectfully, "I am reporting to your highness the 9th princess that the city lord's mansion has been breached by the Yi clan. Now the Yi clan has become the largest force in the entire Nanyang County. This matter things are a bit beyond expectations. Should we report it to the Thunder Sword Military Department in Jiangzhou?" "No need to report." The girl in white turned around, revealing a delicate and beautiful face. Nangong Mushue said with a smile, "As long as brother Ye Feng is happy, it's okay. A small Nanyang County town is nothing, just give it to the Yi clan." At the city lord's mansion in Nanyang County, the Ye clan's family flag was flying above the tall mansion and buildings. What shocked countless residents of Nanyang County to the extreme was that on weekdays, the powerful, Yan Shinho city lord's mansion was vulnerable to the Ye clan's fierce offensive. The city lord's mansion was quickly captured, and the entire Nanyang County city became the domain of the Ye clan. Ye Feng was alone at this time, standing on the majestic city wall of the city lord's palace, with his hands behind his back. His white clothes were better than the snow, and he looked far away, and the great rivers and mountains of Nanyang County were all in his eyes. At this time, the war has come to an end, and all those who resisted in the city lord's mansion have been killed. In fact, there was not much resistance in the entire city lord's mansion. First, the city lord Chu Tianlang had been killed by Ye Feng long ago. Second, the inspection envoy of the great Yan dynasty stationed in the city lord's mansion mysteriously disappeared and never appeared again. Ye Feng was a little confused, but he didn't think much about it, because even if the inspector appeared, he still had the strength and confidence to make the inspector agree with the Ye clan and become the new generation commander of Nanyang County. At this time, in the eyes of countless family members, Ye Feng was already a belief-like existence. After all, under the leadership of Ye Feng, the Ye clan actually destroyed the city lord's mansion. This is simply a huge achievement. A shocking feat. Ha ha ha, okay. Ye Tianya, the head of the family, was smiling happily at this time, guiding each of the Ye clan disciples to carry out all the treasures in the city lord's mansion. There were boxes of gleaming spiritual stones, weapons, armors, as well as many extremely precious elixirs, talismans, etc. These treasures are all Chu Tianlang's rich property that he spent most of his life saving, but now, it has been emptied out by the Ye clan, and it has all become the wealth of the Ye clan. Ye Tianya asked each strong man to carry out all these treasure boxes, and then began to distribute them to the children of the Ye clan. This is actually not what Ye Tianya means, but what Ye Feng means. Chapter 64, To Follow Your Footsteps. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although the Ye clan relied on Ye Feng to destroy the city lord's mansion, there are still endless crises in the future. Therefore, Ye Feng told Ye Tianya that if he wanted to truly make the Ye clan stronger, and even become the super family of the entire great Yan dynasty, and even the entire Longyuan continent, he must combine the comprehensive martial arts qualities of everyone in the family. Lift up, therefore, Ye Feng asked Ye Tianya not to hide his secrets, and directly took out all the wealth in the city lord's palace, announced it in front of all the people of the Ye clan, and then distributed it one by one, so that the family's children could quickly increase their own strength. A family is different from a sect, because the family has a bloodline and a close relationship with relatives to maintain a very close connection. So Ye Feng told Ye Tianya that the investment was worth it. If everyone in the entire Leaf clan grows up and becomes stronger, then the overall strength of the entire Leaf clan will definitely experience a surge. This thought made Ye Yuanlong sigh incomparably. Ye Feng's mind was as broad as the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth. Compared with Ye Feng, these old guys are like frogs in the well. The entire Ye clan is currently harvesting all the wealth in the city lord's mansion. At this time, Ye Feng returned to the Ye clan and came to Ye Xinyue's residence. He was a little strange. Ever since he came back from killing the masters of the sky poison sect outside the city, he had not seen any sign of Ye Xinyue. Logically speaking, it is impossible for Ye Xinyue to appear in such a battle that destroys the city lord's palace. When Ye Feng walked outside Ye Xinyue's house, his eyes suddenly darkened, because he couldn't sense any life breath or fluctuation at all. Could it be that Chu Tianlang arranged for other masters to attack the Ye clan's base camp while he was away from the Ye clan? Squeak! Ye Feng pushed the door open violently. His eyes were slightly startled. He overestimated Chu Tianlang's strategy. There was no sign of a messy fight in the room, and everything was neat and tidy. This is, Ye Feng saw a letter on the table with a line of beautiful handwriting on it. Ye Feng personally initiated it. That was Ye Xinyue's handwriting. Ye Feng stepped forward, picked up the letter and opened it directly. Ye Feng, please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. I don't dare to see you for the last time, because I'm afraid I won't be able to leave. I'm leaving, but I'm not going to Jianzhong, but to a very distant place called Zhongzhou. You don't have to worry about my safety. Master is the master of the Moon God Palace and a supremely powerful person. She travels around the world for 9 years. You, passing by here, said that my body contains ancient Tao blood and is an innate Tao body. I don't know what the innate Taoist body is, but I know that if I don't go with Master, my bloodline will never be opened. Ye Feng, actually I really want to stay by your side, but I know I can't do this. I have to seize this opportunity to become stronger. And the reason why I traveled far away to Xianxia in order to become stronger was all for you, because you made me feel too powerful and too lonely. I couldn't touch your true heart and true secrets. Maybe I am not worthy of knowing your secret because of my strength, so in order to keep up with you and to be the woman behind you, I am willing to leave my family, leave this comfort zone, and go to the distant Xianxia with my master. Ye Feng, don't worry, you are the only one in my heart. When I succeed in cultivation and when I activate my innate Taoist body, I will come back. Returning to you again, at that time, I thought I could understand your true loneliness and secrets. But maybe, you don't need to wait for my return. Ye Feng, you are already famous throughout Long Yuan continent. When the time comes, you must remember to come to Xianxia Moon God Palace to find me. I will come back if I can't wait for you. Ye Feng, I really like you, but I'm too weak now. I can't understand the feeling you make me, the kind of feeling that is out of tune with the whole world, the kind of eternal loneliness that makes people's hearts tremble. I really feel sorry for you. I know you must have a great burden on you, so I will become very strong for you. To follow your footsteps and walk with you, everything is worth it. In the letter, Ye Xinyue wrote down all his thoughts. After reading it, Ye Feng had a warm smile on his face. He didn't say anything more, he just put the letter into the storage ring, then Ye Feng walked out of Ye Xinyue's palace. It was time for him to leave Nanyang County, aha. Suddenly at this moment, a figure with a powerful mysterious aura surging all over his body suddenly appeared not far from Ye Feng. This figure stared at Ye Feng and said, "You must be young Master Ye Feng." "That's right." Ye Feng nodded. He saw the clothes on this figure. He was the inspector of the Great Yan Dynasty. Ye Feng said suddenly, "Are you the inspector of Nanyang County who has never appeared before?" The figure said, "That's right." Ye Feng's eyes showed an incomprehensible look and said, "So you suddenly appeared now and you want to attack me?" This inspector was very powerful and gave Ye Feng the feeling of being extremely powerful, its strong sense of crisis. This person may be a super master in the titled martial arts realm. But if a real battle breaks out, with Ye Feng's current strength and means, plus the Demon Lord armor, he will definitely be able to completely kill the person in front of him. The inspector felt the faint cold murderous intent emanating from Ye Feng at this time, and he hurriedly said, "If I wanted to attack you, I would have done it when the Ye family attacked the city lord's mansion before." Ye Feng heard this and then relaxed a little, and asked, "Then why did you suddenly appear now?" The inspector walked towards Ye Feng and said, "There is a distinguished big man who asked to see you, Ye Feng." "Oh. Who is it?" Ye Feng's eyes immediately showed doubt. However, Ye Feng knew in his heart at this time that it must be the mysterious big man with a distinguished status who made a move this time, so that the inspector did not attack him, but watched the destruction of the city lord's mansion quietly. Half an hour later, Ye Feng followed the inspector and came to a huge vermilion pavilion. This vermilion pavilion, with carved beams and painted buildings, colorful lights hanging on the eaves, and glazed jade tiles, has a total of 9 floors, full of a sense of splendor and grandeur. At this time, Ye Feng followed the inspector and walked into the 9-story pavilion. That distinguished mysterious big man is waiting for Mr. Ye Feng on the 9th floor. I will take my leave first. After the inspector finished speaking, he walked directly into the distance and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Ye Feng's eyes were full of deep doubts. Who is this mysterious big man? Why did he suddenly appear? And he spared no effort to help himself. Chapter 65 Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the 9th floor of the Vermilion Pavilion, Ye Feng's eyes were filled with confusion as he slowly walked up. When he reached the 9th floor, he immediately saw a graceful girl with a fluttering white skirt standing there, her beautiful little face full of expectation and happiness. Mu Shui, Ye Feng was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized, it turns out that the mysterious big man mentioned by the inspector was Nangong Mushue. Yes. Nangong Mushue is the 9th princess of the Great Yan Dynasty. With her noble status, she naturally has so much power, but Ye Feng never expected that he would meet this girl Nangong Mushue in Nanyang County. Haven't seen you for a long time. A smile of memory appeared on Ye Feng's face. He has always remembered the figure of the clumsy girl in white who took care of him. Nangong Mushue immediately took 2 steps and 1 step at a time, and couldn't wait to throw herself into Ye Feng's arms. Ye Feng hugged her slightly and said, Mushue, why did you come to such a remote place in Nanyang County? Nangong Mushue raised her little head slightly, smiled lightly. Her beautiful eyes sparkled, and said, Sister Fengjiu brought me here. I didn't expect that brother Ye Feng would be here in Nanyang County. Fengjiu, Ye Feng's eyes were stunned, is this powerful woman here too? This woman in red who had awakened the fire phoenix martial spirit left a very deep impression on Ye Feng. After all, in that canyon, this Fengjiu finally came back to threaten him. Unfortunately, it's useless. Ahem. Sure enough, at this moment, with a slight cough, a woman in red with perfect posture appeared from not far away, coming in one direction. Fengjiu's red eyes seemed to be burning with flames any time and anywhere. She stared at the 2 people who were behaving intimately not far away, her beautiful face covered with frost, and said, Mushue, it's not good for you to do this. Nangong Mushue was reluctant to leave and took a few steps back. It was obvious that she was still quite afraid of this Fengjiu. Fengjiu stared at Ye Feng at this time, seeming a little surprised, and said, I didn't expect you to have broken through to the Tianwu realm. In just a few months, Fengjiu watched Ye Feng step into the Tianwu realm from the original Zhenwu realm. This speed of cultivation is simply astonishing. Even among the big forces, this kind of breakthrough speed is definitely one of the best, but Fengjiu felt it was impossible. The small Nanyang County had no training resources at all, so why could Ye Feng break through so quickly? At this time, Fengjiu suddenly seemed to have thought of something, and her beautiful eyes showed a hint of surprise. She stared at Ye Feng and said, I'll give you a suggestion, don't blindly buy pills that can break through your cultivation to improve your realm. This is useless. It's different from destroying your foundation, you will definitely regret it later. Obviously, Fengjiu felt that Ye Feng must have taken a lot of cultivation improving pills to forcefully break through his martial arts realm so quickly. However, Ye Feng just shook his head and said calmly, don't use your ignorance to speculate on my achievements. Boy, what did you say? How dare you talk to me like this? Fengjiu immediately stared with beautiful eyes. Every time she saw this boy, he would always make rude remarks. What qualifications does he have to say that? Fengjiu's whole body immediately released a majestic momentum. A huge fire phoenix shadow, burning with huge flames, slowly appeared on Fengjiu's body. You think I'm afraid of you? Ye Feng smiled coldly. This woman was always so arrogant, showing off her so-called powerful strength and noble status in front of him. Buzz! A huge oven of creation appeared in the void behind Ye Feng. Waves of heart-stopping dark devouring whirlpools slowly rotated in the oven of creation, causing the fire phoenix spirit around Fengjiu to neigh in fear. In the eyes of the fire phoenix, the darkness devouring whirlpool in the oven of creation was simply like hell. Even the soul of an ancient holy beast felt a kind of endless darkness and terror. There was a hint of fear in Fengjiu's beautiful eyes. She could deeply feel that the martial spirit behind Ye Feng was becoming more and more weird and powerful. The last time you showed your martial spirit and fighting spirit to me, I didn't care about it. But this time, I don't want to forgive you so easily. For an arrogant boy like you, I have to teach you a lesson. You should be better in front of me. Fengjiu said, her graceful figure moved slightly, and she rushed in front of Ye Feng. A palm as white as jade, burning with terrifying flames, grabbed him directly. Ha ha ha, I've long disliked you, and today you are going to have a big battle with me. I want to see if a strong man at the titled martial realm level is really as powerful and unstoppable as the legend says. Ye Feng laughed loudly, and 2 pairs of purple wings suddenly appeared from behind, and suddenly rushed to the sky. He looked down at Fengjiu, his eyes were filled with silver light, and he shouted, "Come up and join me." War. Oh. Rare flying martial arts. Fengjiu couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise in her lonely and aloof beautiful eyes, but then she sneered, walked up to the sky step by step, and said, Ye Feng, you have indeed made great progress during this period, but if you think you can fight me like this, then you are simply delusional. As Fengjiu spoke, her whole body was burning with blazing red flames. The fire phoenix behind her looked up to the sky and screamed, carrying earth-shattering power. Azure Dragon Exploring Claw Hand. Ye Feng didn't say any nonsense, he just unfolded his purple cloud wings and rushed in front of Fengjiu. Aha! One of his arms quickly expanded and became a blue dragon arm covered with blue dragon scales, and his palm also turned into 3 sharp and ferocious green dragon claws. Oh! Qinglong Claw Hand. I didn't expect that you can even master the martial arts of the Royal Martial Arts Academy. However, your moves are scattered. I'm afraid you just practiced the first few moves and are not complete. Fengjiu suddenly spoke up. She was really powerful. She immediately saw that Ye Feng's Qinglong Claw Hand was not perfect. The power of Fire Phoenix. Combustion. Fengjiu shouted coldly, and suddenly shot out a white jade-like palm, and a large flame burst out, colliding with Ye Feng's green dragon claw. Boom! There was an earth-shattering roar at the collision site. It was like 2 big mountains were bombarded together, and the aftermath rippled out, shaking the surrounding clouds and quickly collapsing them. Fortunately, the 2 of them were not fighting on the ground, otherwise the entire Nanyang County would have been destroyed by the terrifying power of these 2 people. Chapter 67 The War of 100 Dynasties. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Many residents throughout Nanyang County looked up to the sky and saw a large fire cloud covering the entire sky. Is the god angry? Many old people couldn't help but cry out in fear. Everyone was very panicked. No one would have thought that it was just a woman's anger. After a long time, Fengjiu was exhausted and returned to the 9th floor of the pavilion. At this time, Ye Feng's hair was messy and his face was pale. However, he was not seriously injured. Ever since his physique evolved into a silver battle body, every inch of his flesh, and muscles were as if they were made of divine iron. They were extremely hard and could not be destroyed by ordinary strength. Fengjiu was also extremely surprised. She obviously didn't expect Ye Feng's body strength to be so powerful. Even her fire phoenix flames couldn't destroy it. Ordinary Tianwu realm warriors, and even Shenwu realm experts, will die instantly under her infinite flames, but Ye Feng carried it through forcefully and was still jumping around, as if nothing happened. Nangong Mushue's delicate face was full of helplessness. Ye Feng asked, "Why did you come here suddenly?" When Nangong Mushue saw that the 2 of them finally stopped fighting, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Sister. Fengjiu and I originally received orders from the royal family to hunt down the remaining demons of the demonic blood sect, and Fengjiu happened to my sister also agreed that I should come out to practice." Ye Feng suddenly realized and said, "That's it." When Fengjiu heard the 2 discussing this, she also said aloud, "It is said that the demon genius whom Longjitian is pursuing with a bounty has also appeared in this area. I came here also to find traces of the demon genius." Yeah. Nangong Mushue was also very excited when she said this, "That mysterious demonic prodigy is so powerful. He actually stole the demonic blood sect's treasure house under the eyes of all the major forces, and also took away the demonic lord's armor. He even killed Jitian in front of Longjitian. A core member of the Tianmeng was directly killed, so domineering." Fengjiu glanced at the excited Nangong Mushue speechlessly, and said coldly, "Longjitian's strength and inheritance are very terrifying, and his origin is also extremely mysterious and shocking. If the devil's genius offends him, he is destined to die miserably." End. What Fengjiu and Nangong Mushue didn't know was that the mysterious demon genius they were both very interested in was actually the young man in white in front of them. If the 2 people in front of me knew the truth, they would be shocked. Ye Feng remained calm at this time and just asked, "Is Longjitian really that powerful, to be able to make Fengjiu, a powerful and arrogant woman with extraordinary origins, admire and fear her so much?" It seems that Longjitian is more than just the elder brother of the sword sect. Fengjiu stared at Ye Feng and said indifferently, Longjitian is not powerful, but terrifying. I dare not say that much. I just want to tell you that Longjitian's inheritance is amazing, and his strength and identity are beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Yes, when I came to the great Yan dynasty from the center of the southern territory, the only thing I feared was Longjitian. When Ye Feng heard Fengjiu give such a high evaluation, his heart tightened slightly. It seemed that Longjitian had a big secret. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Nangong Mushue changed the topic and said to Ye Feng, Brother Ye Feng, I am leaving the great Yan dynasty soon. Ye Feng nodded. The last time he was in the cave, he already knew from Fengjiu that this girl Mu Shui would definitely not be limited to the little great Yan king. Towards, he asked, where to go. Nangong Mushue said, Poseidon Academy. Poseidon Academy. Ye Feng's eyes showed surprise. He had heard about it from Xianxia. Poseidon Academy is one of the 4 dominant forces in the southern region. It is praised by many practitioners as the #1 martial arts holy land in the southern region. It has been passed down for thousands of years and has a rich heritage. Ye Feng stroked the hair of the girl in front of him and said with a smile, I will go to Poseidon Academy to find you in the future. Nangong Mushue suddenly said, Brother Ye Feng, please come back to the imperial city with me. I will ask my father to arrange for you to enter the Royal Martial Arts Academy. Ye Feng shook his head and said, I have decided to go to Jianzhong. By the way, how can I enter the real overlord force in the southern territory in the future? Fengjiu's beautiful eyes flashed at this time, and she said, participate in the 100 Dynasties war in the entire southern territory in half a year, and those who perform well will be selected by the overlord force and become the disciples of the overlord force. Ye Feng nodded and said, thank you, Sister Fengjiu, for clearing up the confusion. You. Fengjiu's eyes immediately became angry, but then she seemed to have thought that she couldn't kill Ye Feng. She snorted coldly and didn't bother to care. Nangong Mushue looked expectant at this time and said, Brother Ye Feng, come on. Schwer believes that Brother Ye Feng will definitely stand out in the 100 Dynasties war in half a year. I will follow the strong men from Poseidon Academy to watch. Brother Ye Feng, you. Fengjiu snorted coldly and said, I hope you won't die in the 100 Dynasties war. The 100 Dynasties war brought together the top geniuses from hundreds of powerful dynasties in the entire southern region. It was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The battle was extremely tragic. Although Fengjiu's tone was unkind and sharp, Ye Feng knew that Fengjiu was trying to in disguise. He told himself the specific information about the 100 Dynasties war, which was full of endless dangers. There are only so many extremely talented people in the great Yan dynasty, not to mention that among the hundreds of dynasties in the entire southern territory, there are countless extremely talented people. And the 100 Dynasties war is when the top talents from hundreds of dynasties fight each other in the territory specified by one party. The bloody battle is monstrous and absolutely tragic. Ye Feng silently recorded the 100 Dynasties war half a year later in his heart. He looked at Nangong Mushue in front of him and said, Mu Shui, don't worry, your brother Ye Feng is not as unbearable as some people think. Yeah, Schwer believes in brother Ye Feng the most. Nangong Mushue said with a smile. At this time, Ye Feng looked at the lonely Fengjiu and said solemnly, after Mu Shui goes to Poseidon College, you must take good care of her. I will participate in the 100 Dynasties war, and I will definitely go to Poseidon College. Fengjiu glanced at Ye Feng and pulled Nangong Mushue away. Her cold voice sounded, Mu Shui, this girl is my master and a direct disciple selected by the Supreme Dean of Poseidon Academy. No one dares to mess with Mu Shui. Yes, as for you, twin martial souls, you are indeed gifted, but you have to know that there are countless geniuses in this world, and there are also many incredible beings. I look forward to your performance in the 100 Dynasties war. Fengjiu's words lost her previous disdain for Ye Feng. It was obvious that Ye Feng's prowess and sharpness had made this powerful woman pay more and more attention to him. Ye Feng suddenly asked from behind, by the way. Sister Fengjiu, I want to ask you something. I am a twin martial soul with pretty good qualifications. Can your master accept me as a disciple directly and enter Poseidon directly? College. Nangong Mushue. Fengjiu. Dream. Finally, Fengjiu snorted coldly, took Nangong Mushue and disappeared into the distance in a few steps. Chapter 68, Cloudy Sky and Wild Forest. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After Ye Feng left the 9-story pavilion, he went straight back to the Yi clan. He was going to visit the strange old man Yi, so he walked directly out of Nanyang County and headed to Jianzhong. Now that the eldest lady Xianxia has left, and the young city lord Chu He is also dead, there is no one to take him to the sword sect, so Ye Feng's only way now is to go to Jianzhong himself and worship him. Long Zhitian, you have the whole world chasing me, then I will come to your sect. Fengjiu said that you have a mysterious identity and a mysterious origin. You are the number one person in the younger generation of the great Yan dynasty. Humph, I want to see if you are as scary as the legend says. Sure enough, Ye Feng found the old man Mai in the clan ancestral hall of the Yi clan. This strange old man was inconspicuous in the family, but he was mysterious and mysterious. He had always made Ye Feng feel extremely mysterious. He also specifically asked the head of the family, Ye Tianya, but Ye Tianya only knew that this old man in Mai had been in the Yi clan when he was very young. When Ye Tianya was very young, old man Mai seemed to look like an old man. There has been no change for so many years. When Ye Tianya heard what Ye Feng said, he suddenly felt that this ordinary old man of their Yi clan who had been guarding the clan ancestral hall seemed to be very extraordinary. After all, Ye Tianya is now in his 40s or 50s, old man Mai looked like this when he was a child, and 40 or 50 years later, he still looks like this. Ye Feng once secretly told Ye Tianya that if the Yi clan encountered any crisis, they could go to the old man Mai for help. Ye Tianya promised that he would definitely keep this sentence in mind. At this moment, Ye Feng walked into the ancestral hall of the headquarters, walked through the solemn ancestral hall, and came to the courtyard behind. The old man Mai was lying on the table, sleeping soundly. It seemed that whatever happened outside had nothing to do with him, even if the Yi clan's entire clan conquered the city lord's mansion, but it didn't seem to cause any disturbance to the old man in linen clothes. Ye Feng walked over, knocked on the table dong 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 and said, "Old man, I have to leave." "Who are you calling an old man? Young people are big and small." The old man in Mai woke up, raised his head, stared at Ye Feng with his old eyes, and said, "Boy Feng, we are considered acquaintances, please call me Uncle Nan from now on." "Yes, Uncle Nan." Ye Feng quickly changed his title. This old man in sackcloth is not ordinary. This kind of hidden strongman is willing to tell you his name. Even though it is just a slightly more specific title, it means that he recognizes you. Obviously, in the heart of Uncle Nan, the old man in Mai, Ye Feng has already gained his approval. Uncle Nan was very interested in Ye Feng from the beginning. When he saw Ye Feng for the first time, he could see how extraordinary Ye Feng was. Ye Feng had just become a warrior at that time. At this time, Uncle Nan stared at Ye Feng's entire body. He couldn't help but clicked his tongue and said, "Boy Feng, you have become stronger again. You are much stronger than when I saw you before. Moreover, your body has become so strong again. Do you have a very powerful body training technique?" Ye Feng scratched his head. It was really hard to explain this, because general body training techniques are just exercises. Although they can make a person's body stronger and stronger, they are only external. The divine art of creation practiced by Ye Feng is different. The strength of Ye Feng's physique is not only flesh and blood, muscles and bones, but also the evolution from the level of life, as small as the cells. Transformation is taking place. It is not without reason that the divine secret of creation was regarded as a practice inheritance that could not exist in the world by countless creatures in the spiritual world 3,000 years ago, because the divine art of creation is too abnormal. Now that Ye Feng has entered the second level of the divine art of creation, his physical life has evolved into a silver battle body. His life level has surpassed the ordinary mortal body. Uncle Nan saw that Ye Feng did not respond immediately, but just scratched his head and smiled. He did not continue to ask, but just said, "Feng boy, the sword I taught you back then, continue to understand it carefully, and wait until you step into the realm of the Sword King. Come back to the Yi clan and find me, and I will teach you deeper things. Thank you very much, Uncle Nan. Ye Feng's eyes moved and he immediately saluted Uncle Nan very solemnly. Ye Feng originally thought that Uncle Nan was a king of swordsmanship, but now that he heard what Uncle Nan said, it seemed that the old man in front of him was far from being as simple as he imagined. Ye Feng then asked Uncle Nan some questions about swordsmanship and martial arts practice. Uncle Nan's understanding of spiritual practice opened Ye Feng's eyes. Ye Feng's comprehension and understanding after being transformed by the mysterious power of the golden elixir in his brain are very terrifying and evil. Although he was just talking to Uncle Nan, Ye Feng had already improved tremendously and visibly. This kind of improvement is not an improvement in actual cultivation or strength, but an improvement in martial arts state of mind and cognition. Ye Feng could feel that after Uncle Nan's explanation, he seemed to have been baptized by a great master of the holy way to teach the world. Finally late at night, Ye Feng said goodbye and left. The next day, Ye Feng was preparing to leave Nanyang County. The only one who knows the news is Xianxia. And a group of upper-class figures from the Yi clan. Everyone is looking forward to what great achievements Ye Feng will achieve in the future. Xianxia even sighed and said, Ye Feng, when you are successful in cultivation, remember to bring back the child Yue, and the child Ziling, who also left quietly, and I don't know where he went. If you have a chance, Ye Feng, please help me find it. Ye Feng nodded and said with a smile, Master, don't worry, I will definitely bring the eldest lady back and find the second lady. After the words fell, Ye Feng galloped his horse, smoke and dust rose up, and the figure in white clothes Xianxia disappeared on the road in the distance in the blink of an eye. A group of upper-level members of the Yi clan returned to their clan after seeing Ye Feng completely disappear. Xianxia said to everyone, we have to work hard. During this period, we will make good use of the wealth of the city lord's mansion to accumulate strength. Yes, Master. All the Yi clan members made powerful voices one after another. Under the vast sky, Ye Feng rode a 1,000-mile horse and took the initiative to go out of the territory of Nanyang County for the first time. He traveled through small towns, mountain villages, giant cities, etc. The outside world was also diverse, very lively and prosperous. 3 days later, Ye Feng settled in a small town. According to the information he received, as long as he passed through the deep mountains and old forests outside the small town, he would enter the territory of the largest sect in the Great Yan Dynasty, the Sword Sect. For Ye Feng, this is exactly what he wants. The old forest in the deep mountains in front of him is called Yuntian, which is part of the edge of the endless wilderness. The mountains that Ye Feng had experienced before were ordinary mortal mountains, but the vast forest in front of us is a real part of the wilderness that has existed since ancient times. Chapter 69 Iron Man Pole. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At this time, Ye Feng thought that he had entered the depths of the real wilderness by accident, with ancient villages and magical and powerful sacrificial spirits. Just go into this vast forest and see if you can find any treasures of heaven and earth. Ye Feng thought secretly in his heart, the inheritance of the divine art of creation is unique and unparalleled throughout the ages, but it requires a huge amount of energy to support its cultivation. In other words, every breakthrough and advancement that Ye Feng needs is much more difficult than ordinary people, and the energy accumulation required is also huge. But once Ye Feng breaks through, he will gain combat power many times more powerful than practitioners of the same level. Ye Feng is not anxious about the huge energy required for the divine art of creation. He knows that the more difficult the breakthrough is, the stronger his martial arts foundation is. The achievements in the future will be higher, and this is why his father, Emperor Yi Qing, was born as a mortal, but in the end he defeated an invincible opponent in the world, achieved the position of God Emperor, and unified the spiritual world that had been in chaos for endless years. Young man, you'd better follow a convoy of a big family traveling through the Yuntian Manglin, otherwise you will easily lose your way in the Manglin. At this time, an old man beside Ye Feng learned that Ye Feng was going to enter the Yuntian Manglin. He couldn't help but remind him. Ye Feng nodded, hugged the old man and said, "Thank you very much, old man." The first time he went to Jianzhong, he had to walk through the cloudy forest outside the town, and it was really easy to lose his way, because once you get lost in the wilderness, it will be terrible, and you will probably be lost in the wilderness forever. Ye Feng walked out of the tea house where he was at this time and walked towards the exchange market in the center of the town. That's where the fleets of the major business families stayed. Ye Feng was going to see if any business family convoys were leaving the town and traveling through the forest in the past few days. When Ye Feng came to the huge town to meet, when he was in Ye Feng City, he immediately saw several business fleets, which seemed to be ready to set off and were recruiting fleet escorts, because Yuntian Monglin is not an ordinary mountain range. There are often ferocious alien monsters running out from the depths of the wilderness, making the journey very dangerous. Therefore, when many business convoys leave, they recruit as many powerful guards as possible to escort the entire convoy. It just so happens that I can apply for the escort of these convoys. On the one hand, I can practice at any time, and on the other hand, I can follow the convoy and not lose my way. Ye Feng thought in his mind and quickly walked towards the convoy of a business family in Feng City. After Ye Feng walked into Fengjiu, he came directly to the first convoy. After careful inquiry, he learned that this convoy was the convoy of the Shen family of Xianxia City, a small fringe town in the Jianzhong area on the other side of the Yuntian Monglin. The Shen family is a famous family in Xianxia City, and it is also a business family, after doing business in the hinterland of the great Yan dynasty. This time, he was preparing to return to Xianxia City through the Yuntian Monglin. Ye Feng was very happy after learning the news. He walked directly to the place where the Shen family caravan was recruiting guards and told him his purpose. What? You want to apply to be the guard of our Shen family caravan? That the person who received Ye Feng was a member of the Shen family in the Shen family's caravan. His name is Shen Wu. He is 40 or 50 years old. Shen Wuzi looked at Ye Feng carefully and remained skeptical about the strength of the young man in white in front of him, because this boy is really too young, but at 17 or 18 years old, it is very likely that he will join the caravan. Those who cheat eat and drink. However, Shen Wu has also been working outside for many years. On the surface, he did not show contempt and just followed the normal procedures. He said to Ye Feng, if you want to join our Shen family's team, you must have enough strength. As long as you can smash this Iron Man pile with one palm, it means you are qualified. As he spoke, Shen Wu pointed to a row of Iron Man stakes beside him. This row of Iron Man piles is not made of pure iron, but a thick layer of molten iron is poured on the outside of the wooden man. Although it is not a physical Iron Man pile, it is definitely very difficult to smash an Iron Man pile with one palm. Ye Feng looked over and found that many of the rows of iron human stakes had been broken into pieces. Apparently many people have passed the Shen family's guard assessment before. A business family like the Shen family is very generous, so there are many strong men in the small town, some mercenaries, wandering warriors, and some masters from big families. They are all very happy to join the escort team of a large caravan like the Shen family caravan, because the remuneration earned by running such an escort mission is enough for many mercenaries to live happily for a year and a half. However, Ye Feng did not do it for the commission. He just wanted to follow the caravan through the entire Yuntian forest and reach the Jianzhong area. Boom! At this time, Ye Feng's eyes flashed, and he directly struck out with a palm, and a strong wind roared past. Crack! The Iron Man stake in front of him had turned into fragments all over the ground. What a powerful force! Many mercenaries around him looked over with surprise in their eyes. These mercenaries have all passed the assessment and joined the Shen family caravan. Ye Feng came to apply for a bodyguard job before. They originally didn't pay much attention to this ordinary-looking young man in white, but Ye Feng's light palm shattered the extremely strong Iron Man pile. This kind of power is extremely terrifying. At this time, many mercenaries looked at Ye Feng, secretly shocked in their hearts. They live a life of licking blood from the knife edge all year round, and their perception is much more sensitive than ordinary people. Ye Feng's casual palm just now made these mercenaries feel a bone-chilling sense of death crisis. It felt like a savage beast, opening his eyes all of a sudden, and then closing them again. It gives people a momentary palpitation in their hearts. At this thought, many mercenaries actually stood up and came to Ye Feng. Everyone, since you have joined our Shen family caravan, please don't cause any trouble. The big man in charge of the test, Shen Wu, saw a group of mercenaries surrounding Ye Feng and quickly spoke out anxiously. He knew that these mercenaries were not good people. They probably saw that Ye Feng was young and innocent, and wanted to blackmail and teach newcomers like Ye Feng a lesson, but the next moment, what made Shen Wu immediately dumbfounded, the group of vicious mercenaries walked up to Ye Feng, one by one. they actually showed gentle smiles, and even cupped their hands towards Ye Feng to show courtesy. It can be imagined that a group of big and powerful mercenaries, imitating the appearance of literati and gentlemen, bowed to Ye Feng. This scene is very weird and funny, at least, that's how it felt in Shenwu's eyes. Chapter 70, Unparalleled Innate Abilities. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. My little brother, that palm strike just now was really amazing and brilliant. Who do you want to learn from? This little brother must have specialized in the peerless inheritance of body refining. With my little brother joining us, there is absolutely no danger to the Shen family's caravan this time. The big and powerful mercenaries surrounded Ye Feng and praised him one after another. What's going on? Didn't he just smash an Iron Man steak? Not at this time. Shenwu was completely confused and sluggish inside. Ye Feng was a little surprised when he looked at the group of mercenaries around him. These mercenaries may seem dull, but they still have good eyesight. In response to everyone's compliments, Ye Feng just smiled slightly and said, "Brothers, you are ridiculous. I am just a descendant of a small family. This time I went out. To be honest, I wanted to worship the sword sect on the other side of the Yuntian Middle. It turns out that he is a talented young man who wants to join the sword sect. My little brother seems to be very extraordinary in swordsmanship." A group of mercenaries looked at the rusty sword carried by Ye Feng. Obviously, everyone was very surprised that a sword practitioner could be so powerful. Ye Feng looked at Shenwu beside him at this time, smiled slightly and said, "I have passed the test." Shenwu was still dazed. When he heard Ye Feng talking to him, he immediately reacted and said quickly, "It's over." That even though Shenwu no longer has the sharp eyesight, he saw that a group of usually fierce mercenaries turned into a group of gentle gentlemen in front of Ye Feng. He also instantly understood that this seemingly ordinary boy in white was probably an extraordinary genius. At this thought, Shenwu secretly remembered Ye Feng in his heart. This young man might really be able to help their Shen family caravan survive this disaster. He seemed to have something unspeakable, or perhaps there was some secret to the caravan's trip. Although Shenwu recruited many, what a powerful mercenary and guard, but there is still a deep worry and fear in his heart. Ye Feng immediately saw something in Shenwu's eyes. This member of the Shen family seemed to be in a panic. Ye Feng looked around and saw the entire Shen family caravan spread nearly 100 meters in this market, including people and carriages. This is a huge family and a powerful caravan. But why is this Shenwu so flustered? The fear that flashed in Shenwu's eyes at the last moment before turning around could not escape Ye Feng's eyes. With such a powerful caravan behind him, what was he afraid of? However, Ye Feng didn't think too much about it. The soldiers came to block it, and the water came to cover it up. He sat on the carriage at the back of the Shen family's caravan and closed his eyes. Ye Feng wasted no time and began to silently understand the divine art of creation, as well as Uncle Nan's shocking sword power that was imprinted deep in his memory. They were both very precious cultivation treasures. Rumble, rumble, the Shen family's caravan, which stretched for nearly 100 meters, was currently walking through the depths of the cloudy forest. At the very back of the huge motorcade, Ye Feng sat on a dilapidated carriage, looking aimlessly at the retreating jungle around him. The Yuntian wild forest is part of the truly wild forest on Longyuan continent. The ancient trees and grass among them are all very tall, different from ordinary mountains. Therefore, the huge Shen family caravan was like a small long insect driving in the wild forest. The entire caravan was very small, and the sky was obscured by countless tall primitive trees. Only, there are dappled sunlight, which occasionally penetrates through the gaps between the overlapping leaves, and sprinkles on the ground like broken gold. At this time, 3 full days have passed since the Shen family's caravan left the town and entered the cloudy forest. Ye Feng had also vaguely heard about it from some people in the Shen family's caravan in the past few days. In just 3 or 4 days at most, we can pass through this jungle and enter the sword sect area on the other side. At this time, Ye Feng felt a little lucky. Fortunately, I chose to follow a family caravan. Otherwise I might really get lost in this wild forest. For the past 3 days, the journey has been very quiet and safe. Although sometimes some unknown ferocious beasts come to cause trouble, they are quickly killed by the many escort mercenaries in the caravan. however, Ye Feng thought of the inexplicable fear and worry that appeared in the eyes of the Shen family member named Shen Wu in the small town. Ye Feng looked at the peaceful forest around him, always feeling that an invisible crisis was coming. Today's peace may be just the calm before the storm. In this way, the Shen family caravan walked quietly for nearly 2 days. During this period, Ye Feng was also a little confused. Could it be that he had guessed wrong? Is the fear in Shen Wu's eyes just his own illusion? The night of the 3rd day, after this night, we will be able to walk out of the Yuntian Monglin tomorrow. Many mercenaries were relieved and a little excited at the same time, because, after tomorrow, they will be able to get generous rewards from the Shen family. It was night, under the sky, darkness enveloped everything. The Shen family's caravan, which spread for more than 100 meters, also stopped to rest. Ye Feng was sitting in a car at this time. On a dilapidated carriage, he also closed his eyes and meditated. Now that he has reached this state, not sleeping for half a month and a month has no effect. In the past few days, Ye Feng has been perfecting his cultivation method, and he has also figured out some characteristics of his second companion talent, that is, the stronger your physique, the more powerful your qi and blood, and the more qi and blood you burn, the more ancient divine rings you can manifest, giving you more powerful power. This discovery made Ye Feng very happy. Because after his physique stepped into the silver battle body, his energy and blood were extremely powerful. If he burns to the extreme, he may manifest 2 or even 3 ancient divine rings at once. The strength bonus he received also increased exponentially. The combat power suddenly exploded several times at a critical moment, which is terrifying just thinking about it. This is a very incredible natural ability. Brother Yi, we are about to leave this cloudy forest. I'm a little regretful. It seems that I won't be able to see Brother Yi take action again. Several burly mercenaries came over, holding wine bottles in their hands. A few days ago, the caravan encountered a hill-like dragon-scaled demon ape, which was killed by Ye Feng with a sword and kept in his storage ring. From then on, this group of mercenaries worshipped Ye Feng even more. However, the warriors in the Shen family's caravan didn't have much idea about evil beasts like the dragon-scaled demon ape. They didn't know what it meant for Ye Feng to kill the dragon-scaled demon ape with one sword. Therefore, the people in the Shen family's caravan are different from that group of mercenaries. They only paid some attention to the boy in white, but still didn't pay much attention to him. Naturally, there are supermasters belonging to their family in their Shen family caravan, like Ye Feng, including those mercenaries. They are also equivalent to peripheral guards.